let me jump in here real quick. Right? See, and I'm going to keep it real with you. This could be a learning experience for all of us because we could have the dialogue, come to some peace, and move back to the conversation. Because today is Juneteenth, right? I want to celebrate it with my friends. So, and I'm going to tell you something. I've been rolling with Craig for a few years now. And I'm not saying he's always correct. But one thing about Craig is you could have a civil dialogue. I know that. And he's actually probably one of the smarter people on this app I found. I'm not saying what he's saying is right or correct, and I'm not going to not protect my mods. But let's have this civil dialogue. And then you got to let him speak also. And Crave, I'm going to bring you back up, bro. You got to just do it civilly, man. I've seen you do it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have a conversation, right?
But can you be civil? Be civil.
I'm being absolutely civil. Everybody knows I don't like to be touched, and I don't like to be touched, especially when a man can't hold himself accountable and said that's what he did, right? Because that's not what happened. The replays is on, right? And I'm glad the replays is on for this reason. Thank God the replays is on. So again, New York, I apologize for going up on you. Okay? Had Anthony said from the very beginning he did that, I would have had no issue with you. I took it on top left because everybody knows. Blame top left. KP said he didn't do it. Anthony sat on mute. So I just assumed that you did it. Because I thought Anthony would be a man and stand on 10 and say, yo, I'm the one that did it. But, and why? You can say that he never said that out of his mouth until right now. Talking about he stands on business.
Can you stop bitching and crying about it? She didn't kick you out.
I literally said that's crazy. I literally not even.
Let me ask you a question.
I'm talking very calmly though.
I'm not saying you're not, but I want to ask you a question. How do we come to a resolution and we move forward from this conversation?
The resolution is done. I was waiting for you to get back so I could join the conversation again because I knew you would be fair and I knew that this individual wasn't. That's the only thing. And if you attack black people, that's fine. But allow those black people to attack you back. Don't be pussy because you got a green bean. That's the only thing I don't respect.
Here's what's up, bro. All right.
Because you love using that green bean.
The reason why NY never got an opportunity to say that she didn't remove him because he wasn't on the stage. I'm driving. I'm not reading the chat. If he's asking who removed me, I don't know he's asking. Thank you, love. Give me 1 second. Thank you. I appreciate you, love. All right. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. So, as I was saying, bro, like literally the reason why NY never got a chance to respond, I don't know if KP is responding to something in the chat. I wasn't reading the chat. I was driving. Now, this idea that I would, that I removed him because of anything other than him interrupting would be a lie. And like he said, thank God replays are on. Replays will prove if he's asserting that I moved him because of something other than him interrupting, the replays will show that he's wrong. And it's just that simple. I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody in the chat.
But just, Anthony, we're not doing toe-to-toe.
Yeah, you definitely can't go toe-to-toe with me. Your life will get fucked up on crib. Don't even do that with me.
On crib.
Yeah, on 30 crib. On 30 crib, exactly. On 30th and Jefferson, yeah.
Gentlemen. Anthony, hold on a second. Yeah, I'm going to do a quick reset. Craig, you're welcome to the stage. Guys, attack the point, not the person, please. You know, this is a day of celebration. At least I thought so. Guys, this is healthy debate. Trigger warning for racists. We're celebrating Juneteenth in here. So everybody's welcome to the stage. I'm curious to think what people. How do you celebrate Juneteenth? Because I just really learned about the holiday when I did my research this morning. I knew about it, but I didn't know about it. So I'm going to hand it back to Nye if you want to start a Q, or Sig, or Vero, or Anthony. Craig, how do you celebrate Juneteenth, bro?
To be honest, I actually sent a couple of women in my family some flowers, and I sent them some breakfast money. I'm in Atlanta. A lot of my family, they're in California, so I can't physically spend time with them. But, I did send my flowers out and some breakfast out to my loved ones. So that's all the best I can do for right now. So that's what I decided to do.
I think that's nice, man. Good for you, man. Albert, how you doing, man? Sorry we got derailed for a minute, but we're back now. Albert Higgins, all right, you're not there. KK, good morning.
Yeah, what's up, JB? What's happening? Sorry about that.
That's all right. How do you celebrate Juneteenth, bro?
Well, we do a memorial. I go to my parents' grave site and all the family. We come together and celebrate in prayer. I have some food and stuff, hang out for a while.
Nice. I'm sure that food's going to be delicious. And I know you're not putting no raisins in potato salad.
No, sir.
Bro, that is so disgusting. I'm sorry, no smoke with anybody. If you put raisins in your potato salad, shame on you. That's just nasty. KK, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good to see you on stage. How do you celebrate Juneteenth?
I don't.
Okay, fair enough.
No.
Guys, what do you mean, Craig? She don't celebrate it.
No, it was a joke. It was a joke. She knows that sometimes, well, what's okay? How you doing, fam?
Hey, Craig. What's up, bro?
I'm chilling.
But yeah, I do celebrate Juneteenth. We're just grilling. I mean, nothing too major. Same thing y'all be doing on 4th of July type shit. Chilling, having a fun time with the fam.
Is it safe to say that Juneteenth is almost like the Black 4th of July?
I think so, yeah.
Is it safe to say that?
What do you guys think? Is Juneteenth the Black 4th of July, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, we just don't have, we can't do fireworks like y'all can, but yeah, for sure.
I just try to support Black businesses during Juneteenth.
Shout
We
out
should
to
support
that
them
too.
all year round, but shout out to that.
Oh shit!
I gotta say, last night, I live in New York City, and last night, there were fireworks all last night, and they're probably going to be for the next week.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm gonna fire off some fireworks today.
Hey, you know what? I haven't look. It's gonna sound so bad. I was gonna take my ass to Waffle House, but you know what? I'm in Third Ward right now. I'm about to go find me an old school breakfast spot in somewhere one of these black-owned restaurants.
Period.
There you go. Get a hole in the wall spot, man. You know what it is.
There's like a spot next to a gas station. There's this one spot I used to go to when I was a kid. Oh my God, the best barbecue in my life.
There's a great soul food place on Tidwell. I'm gonna go eat there today.
Are you in Houston? That's in the third. You talking on the north side?
That's right.
Yeah.
We're going to go popcorn style, guys. You want to jump in?
Hey,
Let's do it.
a soul food spot. Whoever's in Houston, it's a place called Mickey's. It's on off of Bellway 8 and 59. Go get you some good soul food over there.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think Galveston also is having an event. I don't know how true it is. I heard Biden's supposed to be there too.
Yes. They've been holding a Juneteenth event since I was a child. I grew up Houston, Galveston area. It's every single year. Juneteenth is popping. There's the ATVs, black people shaking ass in the back of a huge 4x4 pickup truck. Oh, it's the funnest.
Oh man, all the honeys are in bikinis. Absolutely.
Well, let me say, I'm moving to Houston. So if you guys have some good spots to go to the back channel, let me know the spots I should be visiting.
Yeah, you know what? Like, even though it's like the second year of celebrating Juneteenth and stuff like that, I do think that the same way that people celebrate Cinco de Mayo and Oktoberfest, go drink beer, or what's it called, St. Patrick's Day, different things like that. I just wonder why do a lot of people, even schools or people like that, have a problem with celebrating Juneteenth? Because I seen a viral video going viral, and these people's like, "Oh, the bank's closed. Why? Oh, because it's Juneteenth." They like, "What is Juneteenth?"
Wait, Tony, from what I understand, I could be wrong, you could correct me. Juneteenth has been celebrated for many years. It just wasn't a federal holiday until 2 years ago.
No, we always celebrate it. That's one thing. Like, always celebrate it. But I think on a national level, I've never really celebrated stuff like that because I never knew Juneteenth was a specific day. I always thought like the whole month of June and stuff like that. But I know like some people just, if they don't know what actually Juneteenth was, the reason why those celebrations, different things like that. I think in the South, we've been knowing, but I think a lot of Midwest or even on the West Coast and different things like that, or certain areas, I feel like they're not that caught up on Juneteenth. I know in the South we always celebrate it, but
I hear you, Tony. I'll be honest. They think Cinco de Mayo is Mexican Independence Day. So,
You're
consider the source. You know what I'm saying? That people be thinking that we're celebrating Mexico and shit. You know what I'm saying? No, people don't really know what the hell's going on. They just see a celebration. You know, Sig said it yesterday, which I think is hilarious. Sig was like, we be celebrating too much shit. Maybe we are. Because we don't even know we're celebrating nowadays. We just be having parties and shit. But, you know, I'm here for it even.
But I'm gonna say this though. I think Cinco de Mayo, everything else. I think we know how to celebrate it because every club, every bar does it. I also think that a lot of times when people do try to celebrate a black holiday like Juneteenth, I think some people don't know how to celebrate it. Meaning, as in, okay, if I brought chicken and candy yams, is that racist? If I decide to play hip hop or play blues all day, am I racist? And different things like that. I think that happen a lot of times. With schools, like I think of schools trying to celebrate Juneteenth, and they had fried chicken, yams, and something else. And somebody was like, "Why you decide to serve that on Juneteenth? Like we don't all just only eat chicken." It's like I think that it's gonna take at least 3 to 4 years for people to adapt to it because a lot of people just don't from different.
Well, Tony, let me ask a question to the room, right?
Right.
How many parents in this room or on stage are teaching their children what Juneteenth means, the meaning behind it, and teaching the history behind it? How many parents in this room? Anybody?
I do, yeah.
Okay. Albert?
Yeah, could you repeat that? Question?
My question to the room was, how many people on stage or in the room are teaching their children, the next generation, the meaning behind Juneteenth and the history behind it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know I am. With my children now, they're teaching my grandchildren, so absolutely.
Anybody else? Roswell?
Absolutely. My kids are grown though. They have master's degree, so they already hit. And I push blackness in my household when they were growing up.
But let me ask you a question, respectfully.
Mm.
Did they learn the lessons you try to teach them? Because listen, I have 2 grown kids also, and they're always going to be my kids, right? I don't care how old they get. I try to teach them to this day. But do you think they embrace your teachings?
Yeah, I do, and I'm going to say because my daughter, she went to Xavier in Cincinnati, and when the whole Black Lives Matter movement started with the Trayvon Martins and the young teenagers being killed and by police officers and patriots, as I like to say, she held a rally at the school, which caused a lot of stir. I went because I'm always supportive, and the funny thing was that day there was a basketball game going on, so they held it near their little stadium on campus, and the hate that was being spewed because of what the message that these kids were purveying and trying to promote solidarity because of what was going on. It was crazy. And she spoke to me about it afterward. And I said, well, you got your first taste of it, of the vitriol that that's going to be spewed to you because of how you look and what you do. Because most of her friends, she has black friends, but, in where she grew up, a lot of her friends were white. And so she never experienced, like, racism in your face. And she got it that day. And, I was glad and sad. It was kind of a bittersweet moment because it's something you need to go through because everybody's not your friend. And even people that look like you are not your, all kinfolk ain't kinfolk. So, I live for the moments for my children to have those experiences because sometimes they need to see that the fire's hot for themselves. As much as we want to as parents to block everything and be there, you got to go through it to know what it's about. So yeah.
Bro, I couldn't agree with you more. I think the biggest mistake parents are making nowadays is they overprotect their children.
Right.
They don't. You listen. They got to go out there and see it for themselves. We can tell them whatever it is, racism, anti-Semitism, whatever it may be.
You sound like a Gen Xer. You Gen Xer?
I am a Gen Xer.
Oh, so you already know, man. We basically raised ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
100%, a million percent, bro.
You feel me? We riding bikes with no helmets and jumping off the roof. Just crazy.
Yeah, but we also got the belt to our asses, kids.
Yes. Definitely that. And the switching cords and
go pick a switch.
Racetracks from the Hot Wheel racetrack. Yeah, I got it all.
Hey, but JV, one thing I did find out though, and I'm not speaking for everybody, if whoever this wasn't, or anything, if you're white or anything like that, or any other race, like please correct me. But I heard a lot of times Black history wasn't really taught in their homes. It was just taught how to treat others, but really did not teach the history of what they went through. And I heard the reason why from older people was that they didn't want to teach like the history about what happened because they didn't want to make their kids feel guilty. So that's the reason why they don't really teach. That's why they teach mainly about Martin Luther King and stuff like that, but they don't really teach about Malcolm X, or they don't teach about like the civil rights movements, like on things like what happened.
Why do you think, Tony? Why do you think that is? Because I have my own opinion, but I want to hear you. Why do you think we don't teach real black history in school? Not the surface level shit they teach these kids.
They don't want. I heard one of the excuses I heard was they don't want to make their kids feel guilty. That was one of them. Anything else, I can't speak on because I haven't heard anything else. And plus, I don't like. I ain't grew up in a household. I grew up in a white mixed neighborhood, but not really people, really talking about that as much. Just teaching more about respect more than anything.
Tony, to your point with MLK, they pick and choose what they talk about with MLK. Like they only want to use the judge me on my character, not the color of my skin line, but they don't understand that MLK was a huge proponent for things like reparations, and in fact, he was considered the public enemy in certain parts of government, particularly with J. Edgar Hoover at that time. Right, so they don't teach that part. They teach that he was marching for liberty and all this stuff. They sugarcoat it. But at the end of the day, a lot of our Black leaders were enemies to the state because they were in opposition of white society and white supremacy. Right? A lot of the things that black people have in this country didn't come by way of being I can't say the word. Thank you. I can speak today. It came by way of Black people fighting for it first. Right? They had to fight for these things to get these things. If it was that white society just felt as if we're doing something wrong, they would have changed it without us saying a word. And that's never been the case. So they're not going to teach this history because it does come with some kind of shame, as it should.
Oh, Zay, let me ask you a question. I'm sorry if I
Sure.
But and I agree with what Sig wrote, right? But he wrote, they won't dare teach about Malcolm X. He's too radical and conservative. What do you think about that?
Sure. But again, it doesn't take away from the point that I'm making about our Black leaders in general. Right? The optics on our Black leaders is that they were either unalived or made political prisoners. COINTELPRO was a real thing. They felt threatened for the liberation of Black. The civil rights and what we got out of that is not what we actually wanted. Right? It was like a settlement. They still sugarcoated that. Right? So, again, they're not going to teach that part. I'll give credence to Malcolm X, cool, whatever you want to say about him. But it's the holistic thing about Black leadership during that time that's the issue that's not being taught. All of it should be taught. Huey P. Newton should be taught, right? Like all of these people, James Baldwin should be taught. All of these people should be taught as a part of Black history, in addition to people like Charles Page, who was the first person to create an aircraft, right? It was sabotaged on the way to a World Fair. It was already operational, but it was sabotaged. The train car blew up out of the blue.
And also, we got to add What's that kid? What's the kid that died? What's his name? They jumped him and stuff like that. Emmett Till. Like they don't want to show pictures like that and different or tell people about that stuff. Because when you hear racist people or people that are not educated as much about it, people always want to bring up slavery. Like, oh, you wasn't a slave. Like, okay, yeah, let's take that out. Cool. I wasn't a slave. You're goddamn right, I wasn't. Well, look though, my grandparents did not have the what's it called? The resources or have the ability to do certain things because of the system and everything else like that. And I feel like they don't want to teach that stuff on what happened.
Well, let me ask you guys a question, right? And anybody's welcome to join in, by the way. Do you feel by the lack of education that these kids are getting, right? It's a form of oppression?
I think it's a way of trying to build. I think they trying to build the next generation to not. I guess I think to not feel guilty. I don't know it's oppression, but I think they try their best not to have these kids feel a certain way.
It's indoctrination. It is a form of oppression. Sure, I agree, Tony. If you're black in this country, and there are attempts, all right, allegedly there are attempts to take your books, your history, out of publication, out of schools, right? That is oppression. If the history that you learned about has been whitewashed, that's oppression, right? If your black leaders who fought for liberation were assassinated or locked up, that's oppression.
Well, let me ask you a question, Zay, because I'm just playing devil's advocate. So, because I hear from the other side, and their answer would be, well, isn't it your responsibility as a father to teach your children, not these teachers to teach you your history?
Aren't we Americans? Are we not Americans? Is it not a privilege for is it not a privilege for white society to only teach their history and they're considered Americans? Why wouldn't our history be taught for Americans? If it's American history, why omit that?
Hold on, everybody hold on. Anthony, I want to hand the mic to Anthony, because I believe he wants to have dialogue with you gentlemen. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, on one hand, right, we talk about racism in America. We say America is systemically racist. We have a lot of smoke, and you're going to depend on the systemically racist country to properly teach your kids. When the pushback is, well, maybe if you want them to learn a particular subject matter, you should teach them at home. Well, we pay taxes. This is America, right? It's very, very odd. This is how we get to the upside down. This is how people just don't. There's fundamentally a lack of responsibility. People want to abdicate their responsibility and blame the system. If Johnny can't read, it's his parents' fault. I don't care what the school system does or doesn't do. We have responsibility to our children, to our loved ones, to people that depend on us. And we need to stop shucking and jiving and own that shit.
Can I have something to say to that? Hold on. Whose responsibility if Johnny doesn't know foundational principles of algebra? If Johnny does not know, is supposed to teach does the parents teach Johnny child algebra? Okay, if Johnny does not foundational principles of algebra, it's they reinforce it when they get home. Hold on, bro. Okay, no. Zay, you asked a question, and I'm answering the question. Let me respond to that. Okay, cool. No problem. I'll pass it to you.
Can I go after Zay?
So, no problem. You got it after.
And I'm going to go after him.
All good. Got a nice little cue going. Zay, Bo, and you as well. Okay. So, here's what's up. Now, we have people that complain about the system. The kid doesn't pick the school that they go to. There are clearly schools that are capable of teaching that kid whatever it is that you're saying that should be the school's responsibility, which I even disagree with that, idea. But at the same time, it's still the parent's responsibility for the school system that kid lives in. You can't run from it. It's up to the parents to make a decision.
We are sum total of our choices. We can't shift and shirk responsibility for our choices. We make up our minds how we want to live, where we want to live, what's important to us in our so-called community. This is what we do as adults, as autonomous beings. Autonomous beings don't blame others for their reality.
So I think when you do have a point, right? I won't be obtuse or intellectually dishonest and say that you don't have one to a degree, right? But I think if we're being honest about the conversation, kids are sent to school to learn. They're being taught there. Not to say that parents don't teach as well, but what kids are learning in school when they come home to do the homework, that's being reinforced about what they learned in school, right? So the initial point was, why are we relying on a racist system to teach our kids anything? Why not be racist? This is the point. Why not? How about don't be racist? And we wouldn't have this conversation, right? If we acknowledge that the system is racist, then that's the issue, right? Everything that Black people have done has been done in spite of the system. And we still get blamed. We still get blamed for anything that's happening, as opposed to looking at the system and saying, well, this is the biggest problem. The reason why we had to have HBCUs, because the system was racist. The reason why we don't have free healthcare, because the system is racist, right? The foundational principle of America is racism. Like, if we're having an honest conversation, we can't absolve the offender and then blame the victims. It doesn't make any sense. Like, oppression, again, happens to you. So if our kids in underserved communities aren't receiving the education they need to receive, yes, parents do play a part. Don't get me wrong, they do. But why are we shifting the blame directly to the parents and not looking at the fact that the way it's set up is to not serve them? It's by design. So how about not blaming the parents entirely? And let me ask this question, percentage-wise, how much blame do you think should go to the system because it's racist, inherently?
0.00001%.
Got you. Okay. So I know where you stand. I do appreciate the conversation. I'll disengage. Y'all got it.
Okay. Okay. Zabo, you got him.
Yeah, you good. Earlier I was trying to tell y'all how I started out my June.
Is he in the matrix or is it me?
I think he's in the matrix.
This experience. I do medical transport, and I was dropping somebody off at the hospital. I went inside the user restroom. I came back to my car, and I was backing out, and I looked to my right. I see a white man smoking a cigarette, running his mouth. I rolled down the window, asked him, "What you say?" He said, "You can't park right there. You're not handicapped." Mind you, the whole parking lot empty. There's really nobody here. We in the back of the parking lot. I said, I just ran in there to use the restroom. I came back. I just do the medical transport and just dropped somebody off. He say, some, nigger. And my mind just flipped. I say, fuck you, bitch. I can park whatever the fuck I want to. And tell me why he try to flick his cigarette at me. Man, I pull off. I thought about it. He get out the car trying to chase me. He a cripple. He got a cane, all this. He talking all this shit, but he a cripple. I ain't feel sorry for him, but I wasn't going to do him as bad I was going to do him if he was like fully capable. So I spin around to where he hit, right? He come up to my car, started hitting my car. And I had a fucking water bottle in my car. That bitch was full. I undid it. I must have splattered the fuck out of his bitch ass. He tried to get back in his car. I got a motherfucking hand sanitizer bottle with me. I tried to crack his goddamn windshield. I felt so motherfucking happy and good after that. I felt so motherfucking liberated. I told my people that's for every nigga that had to look down while they was walking by a white man, bitch. But yeah, that's how I started my change.
Quit parking in handicap spaces.
I'm just laughing because somebody gave you the thumbs down. These emojis are wild. They didn't like that story, sir.
Yeah, if you park in a handicap space and you're not legally allowed to, like, people are going to call you out, man. Like, that's why I don't park in handicap spaces, because I don't want to smoke. I know people are going to say something to me. handicap.
So at that moment, he would have threw that lit cigarette at you. What you would have did?
I just want to say real quick, pull me off the queue. Y'all said what I had to say with the school thing. I don't have anything else to add. Pull me off the queue.
I mean, somebody flicking a cigarette at somebody is wrong too, but again, the way my mind works, I go to the root of the problem. And the man was right for saying you're not allowed to park in a handicap space. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. Now, if you took it overboard, okay, I mean, yeah, that's a problem in itself. But again, the root of the problem was if you hadn't parked in a handicap space, this problem would have never started. And it sounds like you technically weren't supposed to be in that space. So it's just logic.
Sig, let's get back to the conversation. Hold on. Now I'm curious, in your opinion, Sig, do you think
John.
legit Black history, not the surface level they teach? I'm asking Sig Roswell. I'll get back to you.
Can you talk for a second?
Yeah. Hey, how's it going?
Are you Princess, the PTR here, the black girl?
No.
This sounds like a transgender chick that's obnoxious all the time.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about. No,
You're not. I think her name's Princess. It's a black girl. She comes in. She sounds like a dude trying to pretend like she's a girl's voice. And I swear to God, I thought it was you as like a undercover one because it sounds like your voice trying to be one. Did you sleep? You don't know her? Okay. I just been being asked it a long time because every time I hear her, I'm like, this big jump. And then I want to know.
there's somebody that goes in this like Palestine room all the time, and they're like, I'm in the bunker. And they say all kinds of crazy shit.
That's what she sounds like, though. She sounds like you impersonating a woman badly on purpose. Like, it's so comically bad that I don't know why people take her seriously, but they do. But she also says obnoxious stuff sometimes, outrageous stuff sometimes. Interesting. Okay, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm just live streaming Jay Bresco's room of bullshit. It's just like daily racial.
Yeah, so that's the thing about. So I like Jay personally and Mark because he does an excellent job, but he's doing the same exact topic every fucking day, and it's like I don't want to hear about black people complaining about systematic racism every fucking day.
Yep.
It sucks because he is a good mod, and if he would mix up the topics and quit like shilling for the freaking black cause just to get big audiences, which is what he does.
Yeah.
And it's the same shit every time. Like Sig has a good point. Like he's a black guy that understands that they got internal issues they got to deal with, And he tries to be kind of like little Bill Cosby in that respect. And he's not popular among the black community for it. At the same time, he's got a message that makes sense to me. But again, that message, dude, day in and day out, it's embarrassing.
I agree. I think it's like indicative of brain rot.
Well, you can also listen to Jay. You can hear. And I don't bash Jay very often because I actually really like him personally. I really do. But you can hear him turn the focus onto himself sometimes.
Yeah.
And then his inner narcissist comes out a little bit when he turns around, like he'll be talking about black and white issues this whole time. He'll be like, "Now, I'm going to say this. It might not be popular opinion. I'm going to get kicked out of my neighborhood, but I think Jews are the most racist ever, and I'm going to attack." And he'll just keep going back. He'll turn it on so he'll bring in the Jews in order to kind of put himself into the narrative. When, frankly, black people don't never give a shit about Jews.
Well, I don't know. It's there's like this saying, like a mystic or a sage never insults anyone. So it's like I don't have anything against him personally. I just for me, he does organize long form content, and it's these rooms that can go all day long. There are people on this app that will start at 7 a.m. and they will stop at 2 a.m. So that's like a 5-hour window of not being on here, and then they go right back to it. I'm just like, what's going on in your personal life that you can actually be here or want to be here for, 19 hours a day, 7 days a week? I mean, and plus, see, the thing is, if you're just listening, that's actually, you're saving a lot of time. Like when I'm just listening, I am doing things, and but when you are talking, it does actually really cut into your personal productivity.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, I listen probably 6, 7, 8 hours a day, but I'm literally drywalling and working the entire time. I don't even chime in, right? I just listen the whole time. And so it's background noise for me, but I'm working all day hard. The minute I want to make a comment on there or something, I totally stop working. So these people that are talking, you're right, the people that are talking in and out all day long, even if it's like not consistent, continuous, but it's consistently in and out, they're not doing anything else because your brain can't be productive and also, pay attention to the conversation close enough if you're doing that. And you're right, they're on here for hours and hours and hours.
Why don't you do an audiobook recording session with me when you have like 30 minutes free, in your home, in a quiet room, and just read Ecclesiastes, or the Tao Te Ching, or any kind of mystic wisdom book, and just like, let's create a clown house room, let's record it, put it on YouTube. We don't have to use your name, but I'm telling you that, like, the experience of reading.
I love it. I love to read out loud. I really enjoy it, actually. I mean, I can do that. I can do that with you if I set aside a time, like an appointment, and I show up for it. I can do that if it's after hours. So
yeah,
if you want to set that time for like 8 to 9 p.m. on a weeknight or something, then I can commit to it and show up for it.
Okay. How do you want me to message
you're right,
you?
I gotta stop. I gotta leave my family, go in the corner of my bedroom quietly or something, and then just focus on it.
Yeah.
But I will do that if I can. I spontaneously, I'm gonna keep putting it off. But if we schedule it, I'll show up for it for sure.
Okay.
And I do really enjoy it. It would be good practice anyway. I'd like to. I mean, to be honest with you, ultimately, if I could figure out if I could get good at it, I would really enjoy narrating content for recording purposes anyway. Like, it's something that I enjoy doing. So if I can get my voice to be, I don't know, if I can focus on keeping it consistent so that it sounds more, I mean, because I have kind of a high nasally voice naturally, so I'd have to kind of like change it on purpose and slow down while I'm reading.
No, I don't think you do.
Energy at the same time.
I don't think you do. I think you can read it. No, I mean, just read it how you naturally feel it.
Okay.
Because part of the thing is, it's not just about the recording, but it's about actually doing the work of running the script through your brain. But also it's about breaking up what people are listening to and saying here on this app, because it's like injecting a software program into them as well, if we can get them to come to the room. So.
Well, that's the thing. How do you get them to come to the room if the topic is something of value rather than just salacious bullshit?
People go to rooms not even on the titles, but just based on PTRs, which means they're like following people. So it's not even the topic. Every topic is the same stupid topic because it's all brain rot.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I say, like, use, like, you can manipulate reality by manipulating what you're reading, what you're saying, and what other people are listening. It's all just for fun, but the sacred wisdom text stuff, like, I've read Confucius, and when you read Confucius, you know how fucked we are as a society because we don't actually have real education. It's all fucking bullshit, I mean, when you read Confucius, you're like, oh shit, like, this is definitive. Like, it's almost undebatable. If you read the Dhamma,
timeless.
It's timeless. Yeah, it's all ethics, morals, virtues, and I've taken like a morals, ethics, virtues class, but it doesn't even come close to that information where you're like, okay, we are sorely lacking in decision making. I mean, even the war in Iran, like what Israel has done, like, I mean, there's not a speck of dust out of place in the whole universe, but in the future, if there's no more enemies, like there has to be some type of global reprogramming initiative or something, to essentially de-escalate. I mean, dude, I mean, I don't know about you, but like, I don't want to live through a nuclear war. You know?
Well, right, and even like the mega party that was staunchly anti-war is now, they're turning against Trump a little bit, but Trump is now considering going into Iran again, and it could start with some bombing and end up with some limited special forces, and it could grow from there, and suddenly we're back into that shit again. Like, it's about to happen again, and it's all in defense of Israel. See, I think Israel has to handle their own shit. I get that the threat's real. I totally understand that. But if they don't have the right bombs to do it, we shouldn't come in and do it for them. We just shouldn't. They need to handle their own shit.
You know what the funniest, irony is you think that we're not already doing it. We are doing it. Like, without us, Israel wouldn't have been able to do any of this. They're using our planes. They're using our bombs.
Yeah, they're using 35s.
They're using our money. Right. I mean, are you serious?
I agree with that.
This is the 51st state of America.
It's one thing to give them the tech. It's another thing to come in and personally do it with tech that we haven't already given them because they don't have it, in order to escalate the capabilities on a one-on-one basis, but still claim that it's not our agenda.
See, also,
like, those are two different things. I get, like, selling them the equipment that they can afford, and then them using that equipment. But that's not quite the same thing as us saying, oh, well, the bombs we actually need are going to be multiple in the same spot, not just one, and they can only be dropped by B-2, which you guys don't have. So, we can't really sell you the bombs because you don't have the delivery mechanism. So we're just going to take care of the whole thing for you, but it's not our fight.
Well, the other irony is, it's like when we say they're using all of our stuff. I swear to God, it's like Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and all these other corps. They would exist whether the U.S. existed or not. So it's like right. I don't know. Maybe there's just not a speck of dust out of place in the whole universe. But
right, they would, and they would sell to. If the U.S. didn't exist to buy their shit, they would sell that powerful shit to other countries that would just be more powerful than the U.S. Someone's got to buy it. The company's not going to go out of business. Look at Skunk Works. I went to this Air Force munitions museum in Florida recently, and they had all the Skunk Works stuff there. And I was looking at it, and it's so incredibly more advanced than the non-Skunk Works stuff. Like, what they're delivering, what they're creating, I don't know if you noticed, but they made an SR-73 now. Is SR-71, 72, 72, whatever the number is after the last one. I think the last one was 71. So they have an SR-72 now. It's about ready to be released to the public. It's already flying. And it's Skunk Works. They're like decades ahead of what I think most Americans even think is happening. And they're not going to stop doing that just because the U.S. quits buying their shit.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's so, you know what the craziest thing is? When you hear women on this app screaming for the death of the regime, and I don't think they understand what that, like, it's just so crazy when you hear like a woman screaming for killing and war and death and regime change and chaos and mayhem. You're like, well, there's a reason why you're single.
I actually feel that way about a lot of people on this app who do most of the talking.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that, I mean, it's increasingly obvious to me, the more I spend time on here nowadays, and this wasn't so obvious early on when I was on here, to me, it's increasingly obvious that the issues that are discussed on here are not even really issues in the real world. Like, when I step outside in the real world, like, the only way I can explain it is, like, I'll feel attacked. I'll feel like, oh my God, like, I'm just a white piece of shit and nobody likes me. And then I'll go out in the real world and I'll realize that, no, I'm actually really important to a lot of people for a lot of reasons. And we don't talk about the things that are on Clubhouse at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Clubhouse does not represent the real world at all. Clubhouse is a really, really small microcosm of really angry people with a lot of obnoxious opinions. And even if normal humans have those obnoxious opinions deep inside them, most of them never let them come out because they don't have a resource to do it. They don't have Clubhouse, so there's nowhere else. There's nowhere that's appropriate to be like you are in Clubhouse in the real world. It just doesn't exist.
Well,
it doesn't exist.
There's this
extreme politics.
There's this good saying I read the other day. It says, to know all is to forgive all. So, like, everybody is like this hyper conditioned product of their past. Um, what was else I gonna say? Is that so I was at the gym yesterday, and I'm wearing shorts that are American. It's made. It's like an American flag. It's like a giant American flag cut up. Anyways, it's a print. It's a print. You know, it's a print of the American flag, and I got so many. I felt like I was getting so many nasty looks, you know, and judgments or something about not even being like, oh, you're disgracing the flag by wearing it, but like, I hate you, American gringo. You know, like, you're a piece of shit. So I felt very self-conscious. Then I go and I work out for 30 minutes on the treadmill, and then afterwards, my attitude totally changed, and I'm thinking, like, can people even see me? Meaning that, like, they're so conditioned by the image or by the, you know, the logo, that, like, I'm not even a person in their eyes. But what I'm saying is it's about my neurochemistry, because after I did the workout, I wasn't even thinking about what people are, you know, I'm thinking about how people are thinking about me. But after the workout, I'm just in a flow state, not thinking about what people are thinking about, which is crazy to even do to begin with. You know, it's like mind reading, and you're like, okay, I'm not a mind reader. Why am I thinking about what I think people are thinking about me? It's so crazy.
It's true. My daughter watched Interstellar with me for the first time this weekend, and she absolutely loved it. But what she loved about it is that it's so realistic and sci-fi at the same time. It's not like science fiction sci-fi. It's more like you know, a nonfiction sci-fi, and in a lot of ways. And she loved the movie. It's a masterpiece anyway, and I think it's one of the best movies ever made. So I was really excited to share it with her. But I think she talked a lot. She told me yesterday. She said, I keep thinking about that movie, and I'm like, yeah. And she goes, you know what I keep thinking about is how we all worry about what other people think of us, and we all spend time doing this amongst one another, and then across the board, we're all completely insignificant in the greater scope of things. So we're like creating drama that's completely unnecessary between ourselves, when realistically, like, none of us are important enough for the drama to even, you know, be of value.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's complete, and she's right. And it's like, yeah, when you look at the greater scope of things, what we are, you know, is absolutely nothing. We're a speck in time of nothingness that will not be remembered, no matter what we accomplish in our lives in the long run. It just won't happen. So I don't know. It's just interesting to think how finite we are and how unimportant we are, and yet how incredibly important we all think we are ourselves when we're stuck in our own brains, and how we worry about what other people think of us. You're absolutely right. Yeah, it's stupid. I worry way less about it than I used to, for sure. But I mean, I don't talk a lot on Clubhouse ever anymore. I just don't like it. I just don't like the task of it. I don't like how it takes me away. I'm a busy dude. I get a lot of shit done, and I don't like how it takes me away from getting shit done when I'm engaged in it. But as background noise, I mean, I go between Clubhouse and audiobooks. And the audiobooks I usually listen to are topics that spur my attention on Clubhouse that I want to go deeper into. So I'm like, I'm listening to this because of Jay's rooms, actually. This guy challenged me to listen to this book. I'm not going to get all the way through it. I can't handle it. I can't handle the narrative, but it's called My Grandmother's Hands, and it's kind of like a secondary version written by another person of The White Guilt was the one that Angela, what's her name, wrote. You know what I'm talking about, the Angela, whatever her name is.
Mm-hmm.
Which I also actually read the whole thing of. I really want to understand if systemic racism is real or if it's not. I really want to understand it. I'm really curious to see if it's a real thing or if it's completely made up or what.
It's totally everything is a construct. But the thing is, though, like, if you've been through the military or if you've been through some type of like initiation with a Black African American, you judge each other based on your proficiency and intelligence, decorum, etc. Right. So it's like,
well, and that's why I tend to think it's bullshit, because the people that talk a lot about this stuff, none of them have been in a situation where you had to depend on one another on an equal basis. That's what the Marine Corps did for me. Yeah. Is that when I hear people, like, oh yeah, racism doesn't exist in the military. Well, I'm not saying it doesn't exist in the military, but it kind of doesn't exist in the military. Like, when you're there doing the fucking job, you're absolutely right. Like, you depend on each other, and you really don't think about it. You really don't.
See,
I never did. I thought less about race than ever when I was in the Marine Corps.
I know it's bullshit because I've worked with enough black people in my life to know that they're actually better than me. So, like, they are succeeding and are of such high quality and character that it's like, how could I as an individual believe this narrative when I've witnessed African Americans far exceed my capabilities, in all experiences. So it's like, this is stupid. This is just this is politics. That's what it is. It's racial ID politics.
Yeah, it is. And Jay doubling down on it lately, like I said, I like what he brings to Clubhouse as somebody who's so good at moderating. He makes everybody feel important and heard, which is really amazing to do. It's really hard to do. And he's able to talk about difficult topics.
But they're just politics. I agree, but it's all just politics content. That's all he's really doing. And
I guess that's where I'm going with this. He's good at it. I wish he would talk about other things.
Well, this is the funniest thing when a guy, like a very strong African American male who is, let's say gifted in speech and what you could call the spirit, because he starts referencing God and the soul and how we're all brothers and this is one huge humanity. Like, there are really great African Americans, preachers essentially, that essentially deflate the racial ID politic and increase the spiritual politic to a very high level. And that's when I can't stop laughing because, that type of intelligence unifies, but the other one completely fractures. So it's just amazing to hear the opposite in a spiritual fashion, which totally deflates the political rhetoric.
So what you're basically saying is the spiritual aspect of the narrative is really, really important.
It only comes out occasionally. You only hear it like one day a week, to tell you the truth. It's so rare that you hear that type of a speaker. But when you do, it makes everybody shut up because you're like, okay, he's right. You can't debate that. Like, if you want to debate that, now we're talking about prove to me God doesn't exist game. So these are all political linguistic games. Oh, so this is how it works. So in Japan they call it Zen, which is really just a game of one-upmanship. But people get really nasty in the game, So it's rare. So there's basically it's called the sociopath. I would categorize Jay Breska as being a highly narcissistic sociopath. I mean, you've seen his criminal record, right?
No, he's 100% that. That's why he's so damn charismatic. You can really follow. You can track the way that he manipulates other people with compliments.
It's so
like you can really track it when you're paying attention to it. How he goes back and forth. And he's good at it, and he hits every person with it. Every person. But if you piss him off, dude, he'll show you what he really thinks about you. I pissed him off one time just by calling him out on the fact that he was being unfair to this dude. He was being incorrect in some assumptions about this guy, and I kind of called him on it one time. But in a funny way, I was laughing. He got so mad at me. I don't know if you know this. He cut me out of his rooms for a year. And every time I'd show up in the bottom, I would immediately get kicked out of the room completely.
Wow.
And then one day, he reaches out to me on the back channel, and he's like, hey man, can you unblock me? And I was like, because I blocked him on my regular text, like my personal text. And so I said, yeah. So I unblocked him, and then he texted me, and started talking to me again, just out of the blue, like it never happened. He's like, I don't hold grudges. He said, I don't hold grudges. And I said, you held a grudge for a fucking year. A hard grudge. Like you saw me appear in the room and kicked me out of the room for a year for laughing about something that me who he is.
Well, I don't, over here in Chicago, there's a park close to my house, and for King's Day, the kids use chalk to write all kinds of nasty propaganda messages. Like, I wish I would have photographed it. But sure, the kids use chalk to write all these like propaganda messages on the sidewalk. And some of them were so extremist that it's like, I wish I would have photographed it. But the local alderman must have become aware because he quickly removed it all with a power blaster.
Well, these people don't understand how good they have it. I'm not saying America's perfect. It's not. But there's not a lot of better alternatives. That's the problem. The problem is they just don't know what they don't know. And,
If you talk to any veteran of a foreign war, and you ask them about what it's like in the third world, they will straight up tell you Americans have no idea what it's like in the third world and how many third world operations, that the U.S. does. It's a different planet in villages. They don't have running water.
Right. Yeah, I mean, things they worry about aren't even remotely close to the things we worry about. And we're so lucky to be born here. I mean, I did the math one time. We have a 1% chance. So I think I looked it up. What was it? I think it was 7%. It was between 6 and 11% chance of being born in America. And it might even be less than 6. I just looked up recently, and I can't remember the number. But I remember thinking, wow, that's really remote. And so you start thinking how lucky you are just being born in America.
Well, I don't.
Being born here. Doesn't matter how you are. How lucky are you?
You know how I know this game will never stop? Because I'm looking at like books from West Point, from VMI, from Citadel, from the Naval Academy, from the Air Force Academy. And then you have 150 other ROTC colleges that put out officers every single year, adding to the ranks. There's just a whole lot of people that are highly trained, and they spend their whole lives preparing for conflict, for acts of violence and defense. I don't know. Isn't it weird, though, that, like, we also don't put out like a meditation, a peace course, philosophy, psychology? I mean, this is all therapeutics. It's like we do therapy with I don't know, this country is just crazy, man. It's just a crazy country. Like we don't prepare for peace, we prepare for war, like day in, day out.
Look at our budget. Look at our budgets that, like, the one thing that never gets cut is defense. Ever. Under any circumstances. We let people be retarded in school. We let public schools go to shit. And we won't even take a snippet of our defense in order to fix it. That's crazy to me. I don't know, man. I don't know. The world is not good, John. It's not a good place.
See, I can easily get melancholy, or depression, but you know how I know that it's all just a state of mind is because when I read books and I record myself doing it, that programming it immediately helps you, and then there's like a longer term help because I have retained memory about really, I would say God, but also peace, balance, equilibrium, strength, joy. Like I have all the positive words to counteract really what I would call clown world. I think most people are living in a depressed state because the situation is so finely ground down and sanded and polished. You were born when you're born with your social security number, you're put into an immediate index of our civilization or our population. It's only 330 million supposed social security numbers, like Palantir, Social Security Administration. They know our exact population. They know everyone's income. They know everybody's location. Like everything everything you've ever sent to the government, it's not digitized though. So I don't know. That's what Palantir is working on. Is they're looking to completely digitize the government and take all pre-existing records and digitize them. You know how impossible that is, and how stupid that is. But they're like that book scanning program. Remember when Google was scanning books?
Yeah.
I don't know if they're doing that anymore, but that really, I guess it would be possible, because if you think about how many more books there are than there are citizens of America. I mean, people who say like we're gonna go to World War III, it's like, bitch, we've been in World War III since 2001. What do you think? The fuck? That is a world war. It's all about our labeling. It's about what the media says and what the government puts out. This is a 24-year World War III. Like it's been a never-ending conflict since 9/11, nonstop. And even prior to that, fucking Clinton was bombing.
But that's why I do believe that we need that for profit's sake. I do believe that we do that because of profit. I think we make money off war. That's it. It's a war. It's a money-making endeavor. That's it. I mean, we don't even do it. We don't do it for morality reasons anymore. I think we figured out that we can make a lot of money doing it. And it was and the main point when we figured that out was in the Gulf War, when we started right after the Gulf War, when we started privatizing the military. That's when BlackRock or whatever. That's when it became a good reason to do it full time, to continue it, to find somewhere to be doing it all the time. Before, I think we did it for altruistic reasons. I think we really believed in spreading democracy in the Middle East at one point. I think we really believed it was better for them, better for us, and that it was a moral decision. And then it changed.
So what type of a settlement do you think Iran or Ukraine will be able to seek or get?
I mean, I think Iran would have to it's basically what Saddam Hussein agreed to before he started fucking with it, which was the inspections of their nuclear facilities and then ceasing to do it. I think they're going to have to literally walk away from that and then open themselves up to inspections. I don't think there's anything else they can agree to. There's absolutely, I mean, dismantling what we know they already have, and then opening themselves to inspect.
But don't you think that the regime is an organism, and that would essentially be like the organism saying we're no longer an organism, and therefore the only way for the organism to change is for it to die and for it to be reborn?
Yeah, you can do that, but because my other thing I'll say about it is if we do the other thing I'm talking about, opening it up, it won't last forever. They'll start cheating again. Anyway, they'll start playing games with the inspections. Kind of what Saddam Hussein was doing. Remember, Saddam Hussein, I don't know if people remember this, he was moving sites before the inspectors showed up with trucks that were fully capable of having nuclear-sized weapons on them. So there was actually a lot of reason for us to believe that he was moving around shit and playing games with us. And I don't know if it's because he thought he had them and his people were afraid to tell him they didn't, or whether he knew they didn't, he was fucking and he wanted to look tough. But he was tricking us to believe he had them anyway. And it was a mass destruction. And then we fell into it. And the evidence to support what we wanted in the first place. We playing games. I don't know if people remember that part.
I think what's so annoying.
May I say something, Mr.
Yeah.
Bro, I stopped taking Adderall in 2011. Like, you remind me of me when I was in the military, in Iraq, and like I was on Adderall, and how much I wanted to talk, and like I would make myself exasperated to the ends of my breath. Where I'm
It's because I'm literally sweeping. Hey, dude, I'm literally sweeping a asphalt to put down some asphalt patch and working hard while I'm talking. And I will talk fast and continuously while I'm working hard.
Yeah.
But then when I'm not,
when you do it though.
that's fine. I'm not. So whether or not I sound like it, I couldn't give a fuck less. But the reality is this, you motherfucker. I actually talk on this app about 100 the amount I do. So if you think I'm an Adderall while I'm talking now, then just wait until I spend hours and hours never talking, never coming to stage, never participating on. You never do that. You have to be the center of fucking attention all the time. You cannot sit on here and listen to anybody without making yourself the fucking focus of it. So you are not the person who's telling me what I sound. If I sound like I'm Adderall, great. It's because I'm busting my ass holding a 50-pound bag of asphalt filler right now. What are you doing, you lazy fuck?
I ran 3 miles this morning.
So I don't give a fuck what you think I sound like. I just don't. Calm. When I'm sitting on a fucking drinking a beer.
Okay, so I wanted to say,
I'm working.
I wanted to say that, with regards to the Iran conflict, what I find very annoying is that there's never like our minds like constantly want an answer and want a problem solved, rather quickly. And unfortunately, these wars it's basically it just doesn't end. Every single fucking day continuously since 9/11. It's like, the point is, the one with Iran, like, this is the big one, this is the big one.
This is the biggest it gets. It's only because the Jews are so fucking defensive and afraid that they'll bring us into it.
Mike, you're a Marine, and I'm an Army guy, Hebrew, and you don't like me, so let's fight about it.
What?
Listen,
let's fight about it.
Let's just take a deep breath and do no personal attacks in this room, and don't mention any other speaker's name. I'm going to invoke the Uncle Steve rule, and why don't you two just like go within and take a deep breath and not mention it.
I'm not even looking at my phone. This fucker has to come in a room and start telling me what I sound like. I'm talking to John. I'm having a conversation with him. It has nothing to do with your stupid ass. Leave the fucking room. You do this. You have a boner for me. You have a boner for me, and every fucking time I show up,
like you went there and did that, got a t-shirt. Ooh.
Every time I fucking show up, you have to stop and center me in your narrative. It's a fucking joke. You have a fucking hard-on for me, and I don't know what it is about you, you lame-ass motherfucker.
Okay, I'm just going to end the room, and I pray that you all go in peace and joy. I'm going to recreate a new room, because I don't want to listen to this. So this has been Jay Bresco, Racial ID, Democrat grifter, stirring the shit pot. I hope you all have a great day, and I will talk with you all soon. Bye.
Save the replays. Please.
Okay, this is listen, don't speak, stop talking, meditate.
Articulates the Confederacy and their needs and states' right and it being about culture. Those are lies. Simple things like George Washington had slaves' teeth in his mouth, but they said they were wooden teeth. Every aspect of the stuff that we actually learn in school is just literal made-up bullshit, a lot of it. So what people do is because they don't know, most people don't know any better, they say, well, we need more Black history. No, we don't. We just need to understand American history. When it comes to this country, there's too many points to make, so I'll just land here. When it comes to this country, Vera made a good point, right? We don't we're not all slaves. The Olmec civilization, right, was here not just before Christopher Columbus, which is a bunch of bullshit, right? But they were here before most of the Aztec, the Mayan, and the Incan civilization. Phenotype Negroid faces were dug up out of the skin 3,000 years ago, and mysteriously, I don't know how these heads got here. There's not enough proof. There were civilizations of Africans in America thousands of years ago. That's factual. The state of California is named for a black woman named Khalifa. I asked all of my friends in California, did they teach you this? The state that you live in is named for a black woman because they thought they had reached the mythical land with black women on horses? No, they didn't even teach them that. So yes, you guys are sort of right. Black history shouldn't be taught. But the reason that Keegan has the mentality that he's had is because what Bernard Kinsey, he has a collection called the Kinsey Collection. You guys can research it. He's a good friend of mine. The Kinsey Collection teaches about the myth of absence. If you continue to teach history as if black people were a part of it, then there will be otherized. Their children will think they don't have a contribution, and it literally contributes to a version of an identity that doesn't have them have confidence. And even spiritually, right, the reason that you teach people, let's say, at least in Christianity, that they are the inheritance of God and they have a house on seven hills or what have you, that language is so that people don't feel less than, so they feel an inherent spiritual wealth. If you continue to teach the lies that were designed to disenfranchise, to otherize, and to subjugate our people, if you just taught the truth, you don't have to call it Black history. Call it History of America. That's what it should be called.
Thank you, CO. So listen, guys, I'm going to be listening in, but I won't be able to chime in. So I'm going to let the other mods run the room. CO, Keegan, did you want to say something in rebuttal to that?
Yeah, again, this is my point will continue to be, I think, a lot of point that a lot of people are at, even not just white people, black people as well, which is that when you teach history in the scope of these people are evil, they've done wrong to you, that you've gone from the worst of the worst situation to the worst of the worst situation to the worst situation to now a situation that they won't acknowledge, right? This is how a lot of black people, and a lot of white teachers will also teach black people their history. I think that's doing a disservice, not to just our country, but to our communities. And I think that if we continue to do this, just like on Juneteenth and on Black History Month, when everyone goes, we're not focusing on Black history enough. Well, during Black History Month, all I see when you turn on Netflix, when you turn on Hulu, when you turn on CNN, when you turn on even Fox News, they'll be talking about something in the form of Black history.
Hey, and that's what's really interesting. Let me agree with you on a point, Keegan. Here's where you're right? I don't hate white people. I hate when people say whitey. I hate when people blame stuff on white people, right? That's the problem. If we really wanted to cross a boundary and transcend, we could literally stop that BS, right? But they demand that we put black everywhere in every government document, every election. They want to know if we're black. Every survey, they want to know if we're black. I agree with you. I'm tired of them trying to otherize us as black for the purposes of the government. What I think, Keegan, and I say it all the time, I don't have a problem with white people. That's white people I rock with more than brown-skinned people because I focus on the state of mind, right? Your state of mind is the type of people that I typically like to hate. So JB has white skin, but I rock with JB. I'm being funny, but let me just say this. I hate Confederates because they're treasonous anti-Americans that wanted to subjugate people and they were too lazy. So I don't think history should be told through the lens of these were the bad white people, but just the bad Confederates that hated America. You fall into that category. You might be a descendant of the Confederates, but I think the Union people, whether they were liberal or Republican or Democrat, they fought for, even if it was beneficial to them at the time, they fought for black people being free. That's what Juneteenth is about. So I despise the context of demonizing white people just because their skin is white, just like I don't like that we sit in this room and say JB should be ascribed to or an ambassador for a certain type of niggerdom. JB. But I don't think black people should be having ambassadorship for other blacks. I think we should break it up and not do any race with a broad brush and be more fair And let's do the Martin Luther King thing if we're talking about Juneteenth and celebrating our heroes. Let's talk about the content of the character. If you come on the stage, Keegan, and you don't speak to black people as their one monolith, and you don't have the hatred because you see black people on screen talking about American history, the reason that, and this is where I'll close, the reason that they're doing that is because Black History is a corrective holiday, a corrective month, because the country has not had the courage to tell the fucking truth about its existence.
So when we talk about, the courage, like what we do is we try to weaponize words. And we try to use words. The irony is we try to use words to censor people. So what happens is we'll have somebody like a Keegan, who I've been on many a stage with, who I definitely don't agree with as being racist. I think that's nonsense. We'll try to put that label on him. We'll try to put that jacket on him. In street vernacular, it's trying to put Keegan into a trick bag because he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. There's no win for Keegan. So, what we hope will happen is he gets silenced. By calling him a racist, we'll effectively shut him up. That is the goal of, the people that focus on calling everyone that critically talks about, people other than themselves as racist. That's just a net effect.
That sounds like something a racist would say.
Well, here's the irony. So, it's good that you're saying that because you know why, Devon? Like, it's hard for them to say, "Oh, a black person is racist." It's hard. It's like, like when a woman, speaks ill of feminism, it's hard to say, that she's, a misogynist. It's hard. It's the same concept. They would if they could, and they sometimes even try to do it. They will sometimes try to do it. We look at those police officers in Memphis. Oh, yeah, they got castigated, and, they're that's systemic racism. The crazy part is that they got acquitted. But we don't hear about the acquittal. We hear about the sizzle, the noise when it happens.
Anthony, let me jump in here for 2 seconds because I'm doing some things around the house. And this is no smoke for Keegan, right? I've shared 1,000 spaces with this gentleman. I'm not going to call him a racist, but I will say I've heard him say some racial ideologies. I'll say that.
JP, can you give some examples?
Wait. Well, he wants to separate blacks and whites. They should live separately, but he put his own example.
Blacks even agree with that, JP.
Hold on a second. I'm not saying that. Can I finish? Thank you. And I'm not saying those blacks aren't racist. I know it's a shock to some people that blacks can be racist, in my opinion. And I'm not going to speak for Keegan. Keegan can speak for himself. I think, and listen, I'll be honest with you, Keegan and I aren't fans of each other, but I've seen growth with Keegan, right? He'll have the conversation civilly now, where before he would just shut it down. That's why I asked him to stay a little longer today instead of dropping what he's going to drop and walk out the door. I understand. Listen, Keegan's a father. I'm sure he's a great father, right? He has a life. He has a job. But I know what I heard. That it pointed the thought in my head. He has racist ideologies. Now, if he wants to dispute it, be my guest.
No, I'm not going to dispute what JB said. I do believe that black culture is in 2025, because black culture has shifted, I think, from the 60s and the 50s. But the black culture in 2025 is anti-American culture and should be separated from American society.
In New York or like Southern black culture?
The typical mainstream black culture. I think that involves New York and Southern.
So you would say, from a non-black person, that all black culture, and I'm assuming by black you mean like American black people, that they all share one culture? Is that your perspective?
No, I mean they all have like subculture. Everyone has subculture, right? Like Midwest whites have a different culture than Northeast whites, but we all still have a typical atypical culture that we all still coexist in, and then we might have our subcultures. So I say that black culture, the rap, twerking, drinking, drug use, that type of culture is anti-American, and we should all
right. No, I understand that. And what about the black people that don't engage in that?
Those black people are not engaging in that culture.
Can I get in the queue, JB?
Wait,
can I just say something really
wouldn't that mean that they are so? If they're not
One mic on NY. I'm sorry, Devon. One mic on NY.
Roger's here. Hold on. Let me just say this because before we move past.
Wait, did somebody mute me? Okay, let me say something.
Sure.
Okay, I just want to say this. Oh, hold on a second. Keegan, do you have the same smoke for the white people that do the same exact thing that you're describing?
Yeah, I mean, white people who engage in that black subculture, I completely disagree with, and they shouldn't.
But why is it just black subculture? Why can't it be white subculture that blacks assigned?
The white subculture that's wrong is the white trash, and I think we all know about this. The white trash hillbilly culture that allows domestic violence and allows alcoholism to affect the family's home, allows meth use. Right, that culture I call out the same way. But there is again. I mean, I'm shocked by this. Do we not believe there's ratchet ghetto culture? I'm very confused.
I mean, so is rock and roll and country music also anti-American because they talk a lot about drugs?
Might I jump in?
Wait, can I just say this really quick, Roger? And I swear you have it. To the point before we move past it, Keegan suggested we live separate, and someone said a lot of black people would agree with that. Let me introduce myself, Nye McGee here. I don't want to live in Niggerville. Have y'all been to white neighborhoods? Okay, listen. They have better fast food options, better grocery stores, and Starbucks. All right? I don't want to live separate from the white folks. Thank you very much. I'm done.
Yeah, but those are black cities under white control. That's not what we're talking
about. Yeah, let me jump in here. So, first of all, I'm going to say this as respectfully as I can, Keegan. But you're a fucking retard. And I'll explain why. You have identified black culture as you've looked at a minority of blacks and you've said that defines black culture. I would guess that you've never stepped foot into a black church. I would imagine that you don't understand the politics of black America, which is very diverse, by the way. But I would make this statement to you. When I hear a lot of white people running around talking about like conservative family values, there's no way that white America embodies those values as much as the Catholics that have come from Latin America, folks that have come from Asian cultures that are absolutely dedicated to a two-family home, that sort of thing. But I will tell you, in black circles that I run in, because it tells me that, Keegan, you don't have many black friends. I would say that they're among the most conservative that I've ever met. When you think of things like their defense of traditional relationships between a man and a woman, when you think of their dedication to their religion, when the values that they have around teaching their family about hard work, I just think that you don't have black people in your circle, and what you've done is you've adopted your views based on watching things that you've seen like on YouTube and TikTok. I don't think that you kick it in the hood, and I would tell you that yes, there are absolutely people from every culture that are out there fucking wilding out, including white people, and the fact that you've isolated your attention and you've decided that you want to separate yourself because of things that you've seen on fucking social media, I would encourage you, yes, go fucking isolate yourself. Because I'll tell you this, I wouldn't want you in my neighborhood, and there's not a lot of black people in my neighborhood, it's usually just Indians, whites, and Asians, but I wouldn't want you in my neighborhood. And I wouldn't want you in my neighborhood because A, you're ignorant, and B, I don't think that you walk what you talk, because there's ways to isolate yourself. You don't have to sit here and talk about you think there should be a separation between whites and blacks. You have it within yourself to go do that, but you're not about that shit. You just like to talk shit on the internet. And the reason you do is because you would never say this shit face to face with anybody because you're a fucking pussy. I'll yield.
Yeah, if I can bring up something on this real quick.
Let's give Keegan a chance to respond. Give Keegan a chance to respond.
Roger, you make a lot of assumptions about me. I'm not going to make any assumptions about you. I did actually attend one time a Black Pentecostal church when I was living out in Virginia. I've been to Southern Baptist churches that are full of Black people as well. I actually don't mind Southern Baptist Blacks. But I went to an all-Black Pentecostal church. It was really interesting, actually. I saw women twerking for the Lord, for the name of Jesus, twerking at this Black Pentecostal church. But my point again is I don't want the separation of black and white. I've made this very clear. I want the separation just like, the separation of white trash and your regular suburban whites. I want the separation of Black culture that has affected the inner cities, but it's now affecting suburban America. I've shared this story multiple times now. I have more than just that story, but we're now in my own day-to-day life where my community, just like yours, just like Roger, is mostly white. And but now I go to a park, and there those apartment buildings that were just built are government housing, and this park is now full of it's very ethnically diverse. And I've already had to deal with a swath of individuals who could care less about everyone else in the park, and they play their rap music really loud, and they don't care what their children are doing, and they again have no decorum and respect for the public space. And again, my point is that I don't like ratchet ghetto blackness, and I think that we should separate that from society. And the difference between white trash and ghetto black is that white trash, they stay out. They stay in the country and trailer parks. They don't affect anyone. While ghetto black travel now. They travel because of gentrification, and they go into the suburban areas, and they travel, and they, again, have no decorum, no respect. I can talk to white trash, and they usually aren't going to try to fight me over it. You really can't talk to black people, and that's or ghetto black, and that's my.
Keegan, I'm kind of curious what you believe is American culture, and the drug comment. I've lived in a lot of different areas, and I'm very familiar with drug culture in a lot of different cultures. But drugs are rampant in the middle class, lower class, upper class, different types of drugs. And, I'm really confused on what is, in your view, American culture. Because American culture, in my opinion, can vary a lot. When I lived out west, going out in the desert and shooting guns, that was the culture out there. Off-roading. Now, I've lived in Chicago. That has its own culture, mix of cultures, a lot of different cultures. Right now I'm in Green Bay. Green Bay itself has, its self-culture. So, this whole thing of American culture, and also say this, I used to have a lot, not as much as you, but I did have some hate. I used to have some hate, and I used to be kind of closed-minded about some things. And whether if it was racism or not, I was definitely closed-minded. And I would honestly say, I'm speaking on my personal experience, I would try to do some inner work. I do feel that you probably have some hate, just like I used to. I do feel you have way more than I do. But I would try to do some self-work on yourself. Try to do the God's work. And, I'm a work in progress. I'm not perfect, by all means. I'm not a saint. I'd probably never be. And the day I just say I'm a saint, you know what? That's the day I need to look back in that mirror. But I'm always trying to look in that mirror. So I would try to examine this more, where this is coming from internally.
Yeah, thank you. I want to thank personally David and Mojo. I don't want to be racist, but you seem as if you might have white voices, whatever that means, and contributing.
How dare you?
Go figure, right? I appreciate your authenticity. And Keegan, me and you, I think, have had some good conversations. And one person said it right. I got to be careful when I say you're a racist. It speaks to the terminology that has a literal definition of being able to subjugate or control or having power with the prejudice. Like race. Hold on a second. I'm just saying the words racism, prejudice, and bias, what they literally mean are different things. So we use the words interchangeably, but they actually mean something separate, is the point I'm saying. My point is, I can't judge your heart or your history. most of the shit you say that I've heard is pretty fucking racist for whatever it's worth, right? And I will stand on that. But the point is, I think the current administration, for whatever it's worth, has emboldened a lot of people to not have to be politically correct and speak their minds. So I think these are spaces and places where we're in a different stage of being able to discuss this stuff, and maybe there's something productive to it. But Keegan, what I would say to you, man, is what I said before. Like, this, for you to say that movies about my culture just because it makes you feel bad that people were terrible back in those days. I hate to say it, you don't have to own all of that. That's not who you were, but they were pretty terrible. They were rapists. They tortured people. Genocide was normal. They stole. They stole the country. They demonized the savages as if they were the savages while they're taking their land and fucking their women. So what I'm saying is, I know we like to think of America in a particular way, and that's okay. The ideals of America, the thing that America said it wants to be, is beautiful. It's the most beautiful country in the world. But we have to do the same thing with America that people on the stage are demanding that black people do. That self-deprecation where black people need to own itself and hold itself responsible. Let's make a parallel and have America do the same thing and just tell the truth about its history. So, Keegan, you don't look at these black things as black things, but rather American things, for what it was worth. I'll land.
Thank you, CEO. So, hold on a second, bro. I'm going to come to you. But I got to say hello to my friend King 334 Bob. He's been down in the VIP section for a while, and I just want to say good morning. Good morning, King.
Good morning, brother. Good morning. I thought we agreed we're going to call him Queen from now on.
No, we're going to call you Queen. All right, let's keep the good conversation, good spirits going, guys, please. Let's not get derailed. King, did you want to chime in before I go to Shipwreck?
Yeah, I like, me personally, I like Keegan. You know, I think that sometimes on these clubhouse stages, we like to have an echo chamber. I like white people who are unapologetically white. You don't have to pretend to like me. I'm cool. You get what I'm saying? Some black people don't like ghetto black people. Some white people don't like ratchet, low-class, white trash, hillbilly shit. I like Keegan. I think he should stay. I'm being real with you, JB. So for the people that's getting mad at Keegan, I believe you like the Klan. You like your whiteness under a sheet. I like white people who will say, no, I don't like that shit. And sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you, Jay, sometimes it's a neighbor like Keegan who, to be honest with you, he won't fuck with you all the way, but he'll say hello, but he won't terrorize you. And then it'll be a ghetto family that move into the neighborhood that's jumping people outside. And you're like, hold on, what the fuck is going on? Why are they jumping people? Oh, they just moved here from Chicago. And I love Chicago. But this is what's going on here. So I think that people like Keegan should speak, and I think more black people should actually speak and say, you know what, I'm different. My mom and dad been married 40 years, still together. My aunties, my uncles, everybody's married. We come from black fathers that raised their kids. Okay, so black people have to start standing up too and separating ourselves from the bullshit. So that's how I feel. And shout out to Juneteenth. JB, that's another thing. I ain't even going to elaborate on that, but shout out to you.
Thank you, King. Hold on, Anthony. I'm going to come right back to you. Let me get to Shipwreck because he's been patiently waiting.
Hey, JB, great room as always. There's another white person, I suppose. Algonquin and white, but kind of mixed between. But these rooms and these conversations are great. Keegan, your contribution to it, even if you're getting beat up a little bit, you just have to look at the viewpoint that you're looking at it as. If we tie back to the original point of the conversation where you were saying, yeah, every movie has to be about this. Well, why don't we take some honesty at it and say, hey, why did Grandpa give him that many first? History is about first. We're going to record that. Those are what the movies are going to be made about. Our people as a whole, if you're going to group white people together, gave them a lot of firsts to have to overcome. We have to own that. We also have to own the fact that every man is responsible for their own actions and their own growth. So you have some growing to do. I have some growing to do. Everybody in this room has some growing to do. And the only way we can do that is having honest conversations and being able to view a situation from somebody else's view. You think of a cup in the middle of the room. You're seeing one side of the cup. CO, JD, everybody else is around that cup looking at it from a different angle. We're only going to be able to see that cup fully when we're talking to other people and having these conversations and able to switch our viewpoint. That's all I.
Thank you so much. I'm going to hand it over to the mods. I got to step away for 5 minutes. My dog's driving me crazy. Mods, please take.
Yeah, we got some new people on stage. Steve, Doc Adams. Guy, I know you chimed in a little bit, but I don't know if you were able to, bring a point besides interjecting, taking part of a point that was made by another speaker. But if you guys want to go, feel free. You guys can get some airtime, and then we'll move.
I don't know. Something happened when I was in the middle of asking Keegan kind of qualifying questions about what he actually thought black was. So I don't know if that was inappropriate or something.
Well, no. I wanted to give you some space to bring your own opinion on the topic. I know you were kind of asking questions, but you didn't really get a fair chance to bring it.
Well, here's the deal. I was talking, and he jumped in, and I asked him to stand down, and he continued to talk. So in order to grab control of the room, I had to move it down. I apologize for that. But I only have a few rules. When a mod speaks, we shut down, and one mic policy. But I apologize for moving you. The mic is yours, sir.
Okay, yeah, no, I didn't hear the. Yeah, I apologize. I didn't know that was going on. I mean, I think that it is interesting that well, sometimes it's the this and sometimes it's the that. But overall, I think that you would want in your neighborhood somebody that had a broad view of all cultures, especially a culture that you come from, versus this kind of this is that. And that's why I was trying to qualify questions about if black culture is this twerking, the 3 or 4 bad things that you think are
Is he breaking up? Was it me?
Yeah, I can't hear you, sir.
Yeah, you're cutting.
Okay, yeah, I'll come back. It was basically saying, are those people still black if they're not engaging in this black culture, this bad black culture? That was my question I was trying to get out of you.
If I could, I think this is a good point. And Keegan, if you want to respond, I think Keegan's on the phone. But yeah, the whole thing, I just think there's a disparity in terms of ambassadorship, right? Black people have to own everything. So a lot of the lectures that people give is you black people need to own it. You black people need to own it. So it's basically like if I come out of my mom's room and I never shot up a building or twerked or, got into twerk culture, don't listen to drill music, then just because I'm black, I need to own it. So that's the silliness of how black people on the scale have to be the most self-deprecating people. We need to own everything that anybody black does. And I just think that's not how white, quote unquote, in this social construct, that's BS anyway, that's not how white works. White people don't say, oh, there's a serial killer. Oh my God, what are we white people going to do about the serial killer? Oh, there's
Your call has been forwarded to an
I would say from age 16 to age, 31 or something. Is that how many?
You were lefty, go past me, right?
Yeah, I mean, don't you have friends like me who are white American Jews who are against Israel? Don't you have a few friends like that?
Yeah.
So I was just like one of them. So anyway, Aziz, why don't you continue to waste our time now that John Kitover is here? You can continue to waste our time all day as long as you like. Keep making your point. Don't interrupt him. He's not going to be able to make his point. All right, everybody mute up.
We get the point. So it's funny you mentioned that because I used to, before I came on this app, people used to say things about Israelis or Zionists and stuff, and I was like,
don't interrupt him. Don't interrupt him. He won't be able to make his point. You better not interrupt him. Otherwise,
like,
Yeah,
like,
so we get it.
like,
Jack, give me the green.
like,
Give me the green.
like,
What
like,
are you trying to do?
like,
I'm trying to
like,
you, John.
like, like,
Wait, John, I love you. No, please don't leave. Everyone can raise their.
I'm just a player whose intentions are good, right? Okay, so this is the thing, is that like, before I came on this app, bro, I was kind of impartial. I was like, maybe, you know, the government is...
How is he a scam?
What is missing in the chapter?
Is the racial part. It's not black. This is a segment of society. That's what it was. That's what it is. One other quick point, if I could indulge people, I know that was a little bit long. The sort of called Democrat-run cities that are really just black cities. You know, we gotta understand. Europe went through dark ages, right? Ireland went through spaces. There are a lot of countries and civilizations and eras throughout history that were pretty much shot out and downtrodden, right? So this is a short period in the birth of my remarkable culture that we're celebrating today. So I don't want to judge the history of us by small segments of our existence, right? So in those quote unquote black cities, those were proud black cities or brown cities or American cities at one point, not that long ago. And I just want to begin in the Industrial Revolution and with the transitions that happened, all of the migration, with the xenophobia of black people migrating from the South and the hate and the race crimes and all that kind of stuff when they were working in jobs in St. Louis and Philly and Detroit and Gary, Indiana and Baltimore and all of those when the South came to the North and the jobs were there. There was a pride in black history. After there was the Harlem Renaissance and all that kind of stuff. What happened was, to some extent, as one context, not an excuse, but context, the jobs ended in those cities when all of those plants and factories died. So the children of the people who were proud black people that bought their first Cadillacs, bought their first homes, had
Larry thinks that is legion.
All those cities,
that means you can marry
belly up because thousands of jobs mysteriously just disappeared. So the sons and daughters of those proud fathers and mothers weren't able to move into the same jobs that they saw their parents occupy. And that's not a good thing, but it needs to be. Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Because we got too many speakers. I'll let you talk on there. But actually, I just wanted to go to King because you were talking on the music industry. That's not my lane. That's his lane. But before I go to you, King, I just want to say hello to Rolo. Good morning, Rolo. I know you're not here, but I'm going to give you... today's Juneteenth in America, which is Black Independence Day from slavery. So I wanted to give you a little context. So good morning. How you doing?
Wait, hold on. Look, Juneteenth is a consolation prize. When you throw a community a holiday, you're basically saying that you don't want to deal with the real issues, but hey, we'll do this appeasement thing by creating a holiday. And I would say that if my community was oppressed in some way, I would reject the idea that the government's going to say, hey, here, we've got something for you, a holiday. Here, everyone get a day off, everyone go celebrate. Look, this goes for every fucking holiday. And JB, I don't fucking fuck with these holidays as consolation prizes. I think it's a mistake for us to say, oh my God, the government's really recognizing the injustices of the past, and we have the evidence of it because we have a holiday. I think that's ridiculous.
Thank you, Mojo. I don't disagree with what you're saying. And Columbus Day here in New York has been changed to Indigenous People Day. We don't longer celebrate Columbus. Just saying. But let me go to King because he's been patient waiting. I know CEO said some things about music and King's an artist.
Yeah, man, I want to respect the Mojo too. I know it's his space. JB, shout out to y'all, man. So, the brother CEO is a little bit better than me with speaking. I don't like to kiss white ass or black ass. I'm more like Mojo. I actually agree with what he said. I wish it was a black man who said what Mojo just said. Thank you for a holiday where we can buy watermelon ice cream. We appreciate it. JB, white supremacy systematically created the conditions of the ghetto. I want you to hear this. White supremacy systematically created the conditions of the ghetto through slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, and the deliberate suppression of black education. For centuries, black people were denied the right to read, write, and build generational wealth, then punished for the inequality that was enforced upon them. Now those same forces, blame the black community for the very